Well, hello there and welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Jennifer Anderson, host of the show. I'm also the executive director of the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. Now, this was a show that was started back in March, and it really was a way to connect businesses with information, resources, just the valuable tools that they needed to take part in business, but also during the pandemic. So it was very important for us to be able to relay the information. Over time and over the course of the show, what we've realized is it's equally as important to not just have a show for business, but about business. And we really have been looking at a lot of local businesses across Georgina, what they have to offer, and really encouraging people to shop local. So this is one of those shows where we can showcase 3 different businesses that are in Georgina, showcase what they have to offer to the people in Georgina and beyond, and really look at how we can support local business. I'm going to introduce you to our 3 guests now. We have Justin Zalanko. He is the owner of Alpina Cafe and Roastery. Hi, Justin.
Hey, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing well. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yes, thank you for being here. We also have Jen Radley. She is the owner of Alpha Dog Raw. Hi, Jen.
Hey, good morning. So excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you here. And last but not least, we have Jolene Semenchenko. She is the owner of Ride the Wind e-bikes. Hi, Jolene.
Hi, Jen. Thanks for having me.
I am going to start with you, Jolene. Talk to you a little bit about your business. And you know, what's interesting and what I realized without meaning to do this, all of our guests have had locations and are now in different locations. So I don't know what that says about each of the businesses. I'm going to ask them about their move, but each of them have moved over the last couple of years. So Jolene, let's start with you. If somebody were to drive by and see Ride the Wind e-bikes, and it's at a great location,
Yes.
Wilton and High Street, very visible. The bikes are on the lawn. What would they be seeing? What is your business?
So Ride the Wind e-bikes is a business that sells everything under the e-bike umbrella. So electric scooters, electric motorcycles, mobility scooters, and electric bicycles. So that's what we do. I've got some out on the front lawn. So that helps.
How did you get started?
Back in 2017, I started because I had children and I didn't want to commute to the city. And I went to Niagara-on-the-Lake, and my husband and I rented scooters there, and it was the best experience I'd ever had. And I live in Georgina and said, okay, well, we have the same beautiful lake drive here. Let's open e-bikes, let's do rentals and have some fun.
Right. And, you know, it's one of those things where you can go away, you can go to a tourist center and you realize the impact of an experience like that. And you really took that and brought it to Georgina.
I did.
Yeah. Yeah. What, now it's evolved a little bit since 2017. Yeah. You've changed the model a little bit. Tell me about the change.
So when COVID hit in March, and that's when I get geared up in the beginning of March and make, big purchases for inventory for the sales part, and then got really scared and thought, well, I can't do rentals, and that's a pretty significant part of my business. So I did ask my landlord to help me for 1 month and just supply my last month's deposit, and she said no. So I decided to close my business at that point because I didn't see any hope. I didn't know where to go, so I did a liquidation sale, and then I met somebody, and he said, "Why are you closing?" He's like, "I have this spot on the corner of High and Dalton. Let's share it for a bit," and that's what brought me here. And I could no longer do rentals for quite a few reasons. COVID was a huge impact, but I got to be honest, like the traffic here and the shared parking lot is not a safe space for people to learn how to ride scooters. And so I had to give that up. But thankfully, with people at home idle, the only thing you can really do is go outside. And so the e-bike sales quadrupled. So in a time where everyone's like, "Oh, how are you doing?" I'm like, actually doing really well. And I felt a little guilty at first, but at the same time, it was people having more idle time, me being in a much, much better location. I had so many people say, oh, you just opened. I'm like, no, I didn't. I just have a really, really great location now. And one of the other key things that I had to adapt to was YouTube. So everything kind of combined with the move and not doing rentals and the world kind of, I think, opening up their eyes a little bit more to e-bikes has made me feel like I'm going to stick around for a little longer.
It's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing because, you know, and we talk about that on each show. It's the idea of how businesses have pivoted over the last 6 months. That's the buzzword, that
Yeah.
pivot. And you really did that in terms of identifying what needed to be done for your business, but also for the community and how you could adapt. And you're doing an amazing job at adapting and continuing with business.
Yeah.
You mentioned something, and when I was looking at your website, there was right on the main page, there was 5 different reasons or 6 different reasons why e-bikes are a great idea. One of the things, there was a statistic that said it was up, sales are up 91% from 2017 to 2018. You just said that, you know, as of the pandemic, they're up again. So you think we'll see a continued trend in that e-bike sales and people getting out and being out and about on e-bikes?
I think so. I've coined it as a functional toy.
Right.
Because nobody really needs an e-bike, but it really is something that contributes to your mental health. Because getting out and, you know, the thought of exercising sometimes for me doesn't really excite me. So you can combine getting out and seeing your community and just being outside is good for the soul. But then I've got a couple of Google reviews where they say it changed their life because they have bad knees. They don't want a scooter. They still want a bicycle. So they want to feel, and you actually can get more exercise on an electric bicycle than people think. But anyway, so it just kind of assists them, and they can get out longer, and then they can throw the bike on the back of the car and go different places. So it's just, it's not anything anybody needs, but I think it's coming to the realization that it's money well spent.
Right.
For something they really don't need.
I would assume that the options are endless. So being able to come into your showroom and be able to talk to somebody like yourself, who is an expert at, you know, what is the best option for people, that is probably something that people should be doing. Coming in
Absolutely.
and really discussing the options with you.
Yeah, and take them for test drives and sit your butt on them. And, you know, it's great to buy bikes online, which there are a lot of e-bike businesses online, but I've had lots of people come in and say, I still want people, like I still want to be able to touch and feel them and have a person that I can come back to if I have an issue. Because, you know, emails and talking on the phone is one thing, but there's still a lot of people that, and it doesn't matter their age group, they still want to be able to talk to somebody. So
right. And repairs as well, you provide those types of services?
Yes, so that's that doesn't happen at this location just because of the lack of space. But we repair. We don't do bicycles. We do anything electric. So any type of mobility scooter, whether it's doesn't have to be our brand. It just has to be under the electric umbrella.
Very good. And financing as well. I did see that on the website. So there's lots of information about financing.
Yes, it's not something I always did it, but now I've got some great companies. They're super easy. They've got 0%. So that's never a problem.
What do you see next for Ride the Wind e-bikes? I mean, I'm sure 6 months ago you didn't see what was coming, and like it just keeps changing. So that's a difficult question to ask. But where are you heading next?
Honestly, I wouldn't. The advances in electric Sea-Doos and electric snowmobiles, it's happening. I'm just kind of sitting back and waiting for. I don't want to just jump with any company, but I see that in the future, for sure. that would be pretty cool.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. And I know that you are a very big fan of shopping local and supporting local. So I'm thrilled to have you on this show.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jen, I'm going to bring you into the conversation. Jen is the owner, as I said at the beginning, of Alpha Dog Raw. So for everybody who doesn't know, what is Alpha Dog Raw?
So Alpha Dog Raw is a pet store. We focus on the overall health and well-being of pets, mainly dogs and cats. We have a full menu, a full line of species-appropriate meals, so raw food. We have all-natural treats. We have items that will encourage exercise and play, as well as sides and supplements.
Very good. And how did this begin for you?
So one of the things that we love most about this is that it really began very organically for us. So we've been feeding our boys a raw food diet probably for about 6 years now. And as we started to see and notice the benefits, and we continued to do more research. So my husband, Ryan, took some courses. He became certified in raw nutrition. We had our friends and family asking us, where do you get your food from? What are you doing? Can you get me some too? And you pick yours up. And it is family run. So as I mentioned, my husband and I own this. And then my husband's uncle is actually our manufacturer. So we just started bringing food back for people. And then it started expanding to even more people. So we were doing deliveries in town on the evenings and weekends. And so that was about April 2019. And then in September 2019, we announced that we were going to be opening a store. So we opened our first store on Church Street in Keswick. November 30th was our grand opening.
Very snowy. It was a ribbon.
It was very snowy. Yeah.
Yes. And then you are now, you have moved from Church Street. You are now on Simcoe.
Yes, we're now on Simcoe. So Church Street was a really great starter location for us. We had a really great experience there. But we've been very, very fortunate that, we've started to grow quite quickly. The main thing for us is that we needed a walk-in freezer. We weren't able to hold enough stock in just the standalone freezers that we had. So we found this unit on Simcoe, and it gave us that ability with a little bit more space. So we hope to stay for a little while.
Yes. Now, similar to, talking to Jolene about being an expert in her field, this is something that is important to you. And, people may not know the benefits of raw food, of, species appropriate diets for their furry friends. So the idea of being able to talk to somebody like you and your husband and be able to go through the process. I know at the beginning of your website, it says Canadian sourced hormone and antibiotic free species appropriate diet for your furry family member. Why is that so important to you? And I know that's a silly question because it makes sense, but why is that so important for your pet?
I mean, our pets are our family members, right? So we want the best for our family members. We know that for us as humans and people, we're healthier when we're eating fresh, whole foods. And, the same goes for our pets. They thrive. So, pets can live and just do fine on processed foods, but they can thrive on whole foods. And that's really what we want. We want them to live longer. There's research now and studies that show pets are living up to 36 months longer when they're on a fresh whole food diet. And I mean, I don't know about you, but for those of you that have pets, I sure want mine to be around as long as possible. So for us, it's just all about encouraging that whole healthy lifestyle. They're not with us long enough as it is. So let's give them the best and let's help them thrive while they're here.
Yeah, awesome. How are you finding feedback? You're getting a lot of people, I'm sure, that come in and are asking questions. And I'm also guessing that, once a customer at a business like yours, always a customer because you see the benefits and the value of what you are providing.
Yeah, I mean, we've had incredible feedback. One of the goals of ours, we know that we have a very good quality product, as you mentioned, that you found on our website. Everything is sourced locally. We only source hormone and antibiotic free, no MSM or mechanically separated meat. So it's a very clean and lean product. So just that to begin with, folks are very excited about the product and the quality of the product. And then the other thing for us is we want to make raw feeding more affordable. I mean, this is really a passion of ours. My husband and I both still work full-time jobs right now in addition to the store. So for us, this is truly a passion. Like, we want to share this with people. So we want to make it more affordable. So, you know, our quality and our price is really what people, you know, they love about it as well.
And now several locations to choose from.
Yep, exactly. So we were really excited. We opened up a store in North Bay. We're doing deliveries in that area as well. In Sudbury, we have a store in Caledon, doing deliveries all the way west to Burlington. We're doing deliveries now in Newmarket. Hopefully within the next year, we'll have a store in Newmarket. So we're sharing the love, which is nice. A lot of healthy and happy pets all over the place.
And speaking of sharing the love, I love on your website that all the testimonials are not from people, they're from animals and pictures of them who've given you the quotes.
Yeah, they've definitely given us the quotes. It's nice too, because our store is pet friendly. So we have a lot of customers that bring their pets in with them when they come, and it's the best job. It's so fun hanging out with pets all day. So
yeah, very cool. What do you see next? And I think you maybe just answered that a little bit because of your expansion. But what do you see next for Alpha Dog Raw?
Yeah, I think in terms of us as a business, we're just going to continue focusing on providing a really great quality product. And, you know, we're bringing in more products as well. So we focus on, as I mentioned before, supplements. So we want to bring in, you know, more lines of different supplements and healthy things. We always do a lot of research on products before we bring them into the store. So we want to bring in quality products. We are plastic free as well. So none of our food, it's all wrapped in boxes and butcher paper. We use no plastic. So we're definitely striving to be more environmentally friendly. But as a business, of course, also just continue to see that growth. And there is a need. There's definitely a need for quality pet food, whole, fresh pet foods. So, you know, we'd like to definitely continue that growth.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here with us, Jen.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Up next, we're going to talk to Justin. And Justin is the owner of Alpina Cafe and Roastery. Justin, thank you for being here. I saw a couple of weeks ago that there was a post on Facebook. It was your and your wife's second anniversary. And I bring that up because a lot has happened in those 2 years since you got married. Tell us a little bit about your journey over the last 2 years with Alpina Cafe.
Yeah, so it's been crazy. There's been a lot of different stuff going on. We originally opened up our smaller location on Church Street, and we were there for several months, and things were going well, and we kind of outgrew the space pretty quickly. So we were trying to figure out what to do, how to rearrange stuff or like change the layout. And then we saw that there was another space down the street for rent on the Queensway, where Northern Appliance it used to be. So I went down on that, and I talked to the landlord, and I said, hey, you know, I have the store over here, and it's going pretty well, and you know, I think I'm ready to, you know, like make the leap into a bigger store and more space and more seating and more expenses and
All of those more,
and all that stuff.
you know, it's interesting as I talk to each of you on the show. Jolene, you know, after a trip, realized her love of e-bikes and the experience. Jen, of course, opened a business after, you know, the love of her animals and feeding them healthy. For you, as, you know, it's a love of coffee and a love of tea that brought you to where you are today.
Yeah. So I've been roasting coffee for almost 6 years, a little bit under that. So that was something I started in university because I wanted some really, really good, like high quality coffee, and I couldn't find that in grocery stores or a couple shops nearby, they weren't really selling much in the way of beans or anything like that. They were only selling it by the cup. So I actually had a friend show me once how to roast coffee, and after that, I was hooked. So I went out and I bought a small coffee roaster and some beans, and then I mean, just the rest is history.
Yeah, and it really has developed into a love and also an amazing place for the community to gather. You certainly see, on social media, you see in your shop and cafe that people are coming in, and it is a place to, in normal times, to be able to gather, but also a sense of community.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We try our best to offer really high quality products and loose leaf teas and all those different things. And um, I still roast coffee at the new location. I have a bigger roaster, so that's going pretty well. Um, and yeah, we try our best to offer just a nice cozy space for people to come to and hang out with friends or family or just grab a coffee or a latte on the way to work. Yeah, so we try and meet everybody's needs. We have alternative milks as well, like almond milk, coconut milk, and oat milk, and decaf coffee. We got all that stuff. So we try and be as specific as possible and have everybody a happy customer.
Does that menu come from it just over time and talking to your customers? Because, what started as a small roaster has turned into something bigger, and the product line is from coffee to more. So does that come just from getting a feel of what people are looking for?
Yeah, yeah, I would say it does. I mean, part of it comes through my own research and um, also just being on different forums and things like that to see what other coffee shop owners are doing. Um, but also just um, trying to offer the customer what they want. So we've expanded quite a bit in the way of like coffee makers and French presses and pour overs and things like that, and then filters and tea steepers and all those different things that I wouldn't normally think to sell. But I mean, feedback or anything like that from the customer is fantastic. I'm always willing to listen and take their um, advice or opinion into consideration.
How did the pandemic affect what you were doing in your business?
It's interesting because with Jen and Jolene, their business seems to be doing better, which is fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. Um, for me, it's not so positive. It's actually it caused our business to slow down and have less customers coming in through the door. So it's been tough. Um, we're still trying to promote right now our fall drinks on the online on social media and things like that, trying to um, just trying to get some more customers through the door and um, get a little bit more sales in that way. I mean, things are going okay, but it's just um, it's hard when the only thing you can do is pay bills and pay rent, but that's about it.
Right. Well, and you are certainly right, right? Like as we go through different times and we go through different phases and stages, it's kind of that unknown. But as we head into the fall, hopefully that, prompts more businesses to gain traction again and to have that social media. So having a promotion like this and being able to talk a little bit about the business, being on social media and really advertising what you have to offer and just making people aware of the businesses in our community like yours, I think is of value. I've been asking the question, what happens next? When I say that to you, is it just spreading the awareness, letting people know that you are in town and you are a local community option for amazing coffee.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on what happens in the future and where we end up in terms of restrictions or what phase we're in at that time. For us, we're just going to continue promoting our drinks and like whole bean coffee and bags of coffee and things like that on social media and online. Um, for us personally, we're trying to reach out to more small businesses and some restaurants and things like that, and then try and focus more on the wholesale or the side of things um, to try and build it more of like a wholesale customers to sell coffee that way. So what we would lose in additional revenue from selling bags of individual coffee, we would make up for having people buy coffee in bulk. So it is a bit of a trade-off, but that's one way that we're trying to go about it and make a little bit more money.
Right. And certainly, for people, you proved it many years ago when you were searching for that coffee. You couldn't find it in a grocery store. You couldn't find that amazing cup of coffee. And what you really wanted was a local cafe and roastery that provided that. And you've created that for our community.
Yeah. I think it just comes down to a love of coffee for me. I've always loved coffee my entire life. So just searching for a really good product and then also trying to provide a really good product for people is super important for me. I try and I want to have everyone have a good experience and enjoy the coffee that they're drinking, or if they have any questions about it, whether it's light or medium or dark roast or decaf or anything like that, I try and educate customers, or even have them educate me sometimes. Like people will talk about the trip that they've gone to in different countries and things like that, and kind of share their experiences.
It becomes an experience. Thank you, Justin, for being a part of the conversation today. Thank you to all of my guests. Really appreciate you being here, being a part of the show. For more information about Mind Your Business, head to the rogerstv.com website. There you will see previous episodes. You can also find previous episodes on the Rogers TV YouTube channel. On behalf of everyone at Rogers and the Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Mind Your Business.